It's 1997. I pop an old cassette into my dad's VHS player and am transported to a galaxy far, far away. My heart pounds during the battle on Hoth. Vader's iconic mask and ominous wheeze fix my attention to the screen, and when Luke cries out after the big reveal, my 6-year-old brain doesn't quite understand it, but I know something really important has happened. After watching it over the years, I realized how much the film had shaped my worldview. There's good guys who sound like me, and bad guys who are ugly, mean, and speak funny. Maybe I had special powers deep down and would one day grow up to save the world. The Empire is dad.
My yard!
Wait.
All of you!
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
I mean bad, and fighting against bad guys is good.
Last night, a square mile in central Baghdad seemed like hell on earth.
Sometime around 2009, I remember angering my late grandfather when I mentioned the number of orphans that Bush and Cheney's war on terror had created. To me, they were Vader and Palpatine, leaders of an evil empire entangled in an unnecessary and expansionist conflict.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
But to him, they were John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, getting revenge for the attacks on 9/11, protecting American freedom and democracy. Both fiction and nonfiction shape the way we see the world. And in order to understand how we got here,
been distributed already. 11 million.
You're the sucker.
The whole country is exploding because of you.
we need to go back a long time ago to societies not so far away. I'm not anything serious, and let's begin. Imagine this. You and your dad are standing on the shoreline of what would eventually become modern-day Australia. You see off in the distance an island, and your father tells you his ancestors were able to walk to that island through a land bridge. But one day, your great-grandfather stole and ate a sacred fish. The gods were pretty darn angry, and they rose the seas in order to drown him. He got away, but the sea never went back to what it was before. All along the coast of Australia, Aboriginal people tell stories about how the ocean swallowed their ancient land. Anthropologists looked into this and found a major glacial melt about 7,000 years ago. Not only is this a testament to how these are some of the world's oldest living memories, older than the Great Pyramids of Giza by a few thousand years, but they might tell us something equally profound about what stories are for. There's this famous experiment where a researcher will come in and give a child a marshmallow. They tell the kid, if you wait a little bit, I'll come back with another. But if you eat the marshmallow and I come back and it's not there, you don't get the second one. Little kids have a really hard time doing this. Older kids do slightly better. We're not so different from children. We have basic impulses that make us want what's right in front of our eyes. Want to pop the tires of someone who cut us off, or smash glass and steal an iPad at our local Target. These are wants that, if we acted on them, could destroy the fabric of society, so it's best that everyone doesn't behave that way. But what if we knew we wouldn't get caught? Belief in gods, ghosts, and spirits might have kept people from behaving selfishly even when nobody was looking. Thus, when stories are told over and over again, they might move in a certain direction. As the game of telephone takes hold, cultures find an optimal, a sweet spot between how entertaining and memorable a story is and the values that it transmits to create an ideally stable tale that survives thousands of years. A story that scares or inspires someone not to grab the marshmallow even when nobody is looking. There is some evidence for this. Supernatural belief is linked to group size, and when you remind people of God when they're playing games where they could easily cheat, they tend to actually cheat less. It's the accumulation of many stories that shapes our understanding of the norms, rules, and traditions of our groups. But it's not like a culture has just one story. There are many stories to tell. So how is it that we all get on the same page? Let's take swearing as an example. Some parents allow their kids to swear, whereas others will punish their children when they do. As a kid grows up, they learn that swearing is okay around friends because it makes them laugh, but if they swear in a work environment, they will get dirty looks. It's not one interaction that sets the average level of swearing. It's many different interactions with many different people in society that gets our sense of when to swear and when not. In this way, you can think about culture as a complex network within which an individual is embedded. And we tune to that network and tune others within that network to the values and beliefs that exist within. The kinds of stories that we hear are influenced by the medium through which they spread. Oral traditions have a limit to how far they can spread while still remaining faithful to the original telling, whereas the written word expanded the accuracy of copying, making it so that more people could tune to the values that a story promotes. Innovations like the printing press, photography, radio, and internet changed the amount and kinds of stories that could be told. All of this comes together with the rules that governing bodies put into place to determine how information flows into and out of you within this network. We refer to this entire thing as the information architecture, and there's never been one quite like the one we find ourselves in today. You can think about the information architecture like a forest. You've got different kinds of plants, animals, bugs, and weather conditions. In that forest, it's important that you find food and avoid predation. Some berries are delicious and nutritious, whereas others, well, they will kill you.
Charlie, are you still eating that pie? I poisoned it.
You're good?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. You know what? There's a lot of threads going around. I'm losing track.
It takes a really long time for creatures in this forest to evolve, but imagine that we could push a fast forward button. We might see trees seed, grow tall, and house many generations of birds, squirrels, and fungi, drop seeds, and eventually die. Little features of the environment, like sprouting grass, might bloom and take over an area for 100 years, only to be wiped out because of a boom in an elk population. Over the last 100 years, the information forest in which we live has done this. It's sped up, accelerated, become more massive, and more creatures now exist within. The advent of radio gave rise to thousands of trees for limbaugh birds and stern squirrels. Expanded TV channels functioned as rivers, feeding the Fox and Friends flora and MSNBC fauna. The internet democratized publications, so everyone's voice can be heard, expanding the Overton window to include conspiracy creatures and unearthed secrets that elites would immediately bury. And now with AI, videos, images, and language that could take months or years to produce takes 30 seconds at most.
Man, we've come a long way.
This speeding up put certain pressures on the kinds of information that gets transmitted. on the kinds of creatures that evolve, and on the kinds of stories that are told. It's in this environment that a majority of Americans are looking for stories to explain why the American dream no longer applies to them. And every good story needs a good villain. When Heath Ledger's Joker walks into a kitchen full of bad guys and effortlessly murders one of them with a pencil, we see a masterfully written villain at work.
It's gone.
Later, when he gets his cash out for capturing the Batman, he burns it. When asked why, he says,
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
What is the message of modern politics? In an analysis of evil, Baumeister defines the myth of pure evil, an unrealistic depiction of a character who, like the Joker, is intentionally harmful and enjoys it. He labels this a myth because more often than not, evil is linked to instrumental needs of settling conflict, threats of self-identity, and idealism. There's a dark irony between evil in the real world and the myth of pure evil. Most people who commit evil acts don't see it that way. Usually they see their actions as justified in an effort to combat the evil they see within the world.
You're a monster!
I'm not the monster here, you are! You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
The thing about the Joker is he's enticing. It's hard to look away. We love stories with a good villain, and often a story's quality is in part defined by the magnetism of the villain, and we sure as hell have gotten good at making them. Most of us would be stressed out if we were put in a room with a lion. The same is true of snakes. We have evolved to fear things that might harm us, and we learn to fear those things more quickly. The cool thing about fiction is that you can take two things that spook us independently and put them together, and get something that is scarier than the two things separate. A dragon, for instance, is a combination of features that we're already sensitive to that, when combined, capture our attention and arouse us more intensely. We call this a superstimuli. You don't even need to combine things together to make something a superstimuli. You can just enhance features that we already find captivating in one way or another, whether it be tugging on our emotional cute strings by enhancing visual features of cuteness, or accentuating features of sexual fertility in comic book depictions. These superstimuli are awesome and very much a part of our lineage as humans. In an information forest where survival depends on capturing the viewer's attention in order to make money, a decision between a more grounded depiction of a person's wrongdoing and a superstimuli, the superstimuli always wins. If not at the editorial level, at the level of viewer preference. It's hard to look away from a train wreck, and over time we come to expect train wrecks. And things that aren't are just so boring. This makes discourse disproportionately influenced by the need to be amused, with fringe groups and outlandish depictions driving what mainstream America thinks of the other side. These stories then inspire lone actors to commit acts of political violence and solidifies a pipeline for radicalization because their stories allow them to justify fighting evil with evil. It's through these stories that we build a lens to perceive the world, and if our lens is distorted, it becomes challenging to see what's actually going on. I use this digital notebook to write these scripts. There's this one feature where you can draw a imperfect line and it will snap to a completely straight one. It's less messy and doesn't get in the way of text when I underline. Luke and Vader are templates for how we categorize people, hero or villain. And the direction of our snapping is shaped by the information forests we spend the most time in. This is why Americans can look at the same event, like the killing of Renee Good by ICE, and snap the same characters into opposite roles. And it's not just our news sources that determine how we snap real people into heroes and villains. Fiction does this too. Trump's appearance on The Apprentice shaped people's perceptions of him as a vision of America's boss, leading to a detectable boost in his primary performance in 2016.
You're fired.
Watching the Hunger Games makes people more likely to endorse political violence against oppressive regimes over actual reports of tyranny. The danger of narrative persuasion is that sometimes stories are true and sometimes they're not, and we don't have a built-in way to know. And even when we know something is fiction, it still affects how we see the world. So how do we determine when we should adopt a story into our worldview and when we shouldn't? Usually our brains just do this naturally based on how well the new story fits the one we already have in our heads, especially if it's told to us by someone we trust. The problem is that good-intentioned people spread stories that bad-intentioned people make up. The world is truly a messy place, and a story that tries to describe things as they are is going to be messy, like my wobbly pen strokes. But if you don't care about accuracy and are only looking for political expediency, you can craft a story that's easier to remember and rally around. Because a good story is defined by the allure of the villain, you can exaggerate or worse, fabricate the features of these so-called evildoers and point to as many people as you want as having those properties. Applying the myth of pure evil to a group, we can link to a well-known but hotly debated term: hate speech. In a large-scale study of 177 different countries, disinformation and hate speech consistently predict political polarization. And the United States might be uniquely susceptible to this because we have a mostly laissez-faire information architecture and an extremely ethnically, racially, and economically diverse population. The trend of describing opponents as evil, particularly from the White House, coupled with extreme language from online commentators, pundits, and politicians, largely shapes the stories Americans tell about one another and provides justification for the abuses that we commit at home and abroad. But here's the thing, when you ask everyday Americans about what they think about those on the other side, they're often wrong, even on controversial, hot-button issues. And the more entrenched we are in our own political beliefs, the more we overestimate these differences. So while America is divided, we might not be as divided as we think. And the stories we tell are shaping that misperception of reality.
I would not be throwing him a dinner. We've had this conversation. I'd get him a McDonald's hamburger and say, we got to get down to work.
My grandfather tragically passed a few years ago. He was a troubled man who watched what happened to his beloved country unfold on the nightly news while he played slot machines on his tablet. At the same time, I played World of Warcraft on my computer, surfed the internet, and eventually made my way into the university system. We were 5 miles down the road, but worlds apart in the information forest. This is what's happening in America and around the world. We face some truly unsettling threats to democracy, and we won't overcome them if we don't calibrate our hatred more accurately. My hope is that by examining how we snap the world into Luke's invaders, we can see more clearly what's actually going on, so we don't become swept up in destructive fiction. I'm Not Anything Serious, and thank you so much for watching.